Hey chatters, if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. My name's Joe, I'm the CEO of Synaptic Labs. We've helped thousands of people learn how to use AI practically and responsibly. I'm also the creator of the Professor Synapse prompt, which has over 100,000 uses on the GPT store. Today we're going to be going over a newly released feature on Gemini called Study Mode. I recently created my own study mode prompt, which I showed off in ChatGPT. You can check out that video up here. The idea is I want to see how effective this is as an educator in actually helping someone learn. In the ChatGPT version, I was able to get the system prompt, not so much for Google, at least for right now. So if you've hacked it, please send it over. But I'm going to go over comparing the Google study mode versus the prompt I created, and you can decide which one is going to be better for learning. So let's dive into it. First up, to do this experiment, we're going to have the same starting prompt. This is probably more than a student would actually provide, but something I want to mention before we even get started is that when you're just starting a conversation with pretty much any LLM, it doesn't have that initial output. So something I just want to point out is that if I were using study mode, I would probably be not giving this information up front because I'm starting with a blank screen. I'm probably just saying I need help studying with X. I'm not giving any sort of context. So we're going to give Google the benefit of the doubt here and assume that the student is actually going to answer some questions and give some good context. That is a big if. Versus mine, you're going to see here, it has a specific intro it goes through to ask some specific context gathering questions, which is going to actually help the user give the LLM the information it needs. We have the first prompt here that's exactly the same. Essentially, I need to study for a biology class. I have about 2 hours, etc. Already, we're seeing an immediate difference. Right here, I will say Google is doing a little bit better than ChatGPT. It's saying that I can't just give you the answers. If you really want to learn, we got to actually do it. I'm your study partner. I can make sense of confusing stuff, blah, blah, blah. Let's start by looking at the big picture. So it's essentially just asking me right now, like a question. And already as a student, I'm probably like, wait a minute, I actually know this part already. Why are you telling me you can't do this? I don't know. I will say though, this is a nice little short thing, whereas mine, we're going to get into a second, is super long. It's somewhat by design, but the idea is that it's not necessarily doing what I want it to do if I were someone using this. If we come over to mine, one of the main things it does first is it proposes a study plan. The idea here is that it needs to present something to you to agree to, and then it can follow that plan. So already it has a very similar response, again, not using study mode on this side. And it's just saying, I get the pressure. It's not going to help to memorize. Trust me, I'll guide you through everything. Let's stick with our plan and let's create a custom study guide. So here it comes up with our study guide, foundational concepts, deep dive into cellular, deep dive into photosynthesis, integration. What do you think of this plan? Does it sound good? So I'm going to say, sounds good. Let's continue. And we're just going to answer the question here because I guess that's what we got to do. I'm going to say, I don't know, because I want to see if it gives me the answer. Let's check this out. That's totally fair. Sometimes it's hard. Let's simplify a bit. Think about what all the living things need to survive. They need energy, right? So let's start with the most basic difference between the two processes. Which of these two processes, photosynthesis or cellular respiration, is responsible for making food or energy? Okay, this isn't too bad, actually. Photosynthesis. Okay, so yeah, it's nice. So okay, this is actually pretty good. It's giving very short responses. And then it has a follow-up question. The problem here is that, to me at least, it still hasn't actually figured out what I do and do not know necessarily and come up with a plan for that, but that's okay. Let's move over to mine and see what's going on. First, let's lay down the foundation. We'll start with the big picture. To begin with, in your own words, what's the main purpose of cellular respiration? What is it trying to accomplish for an organism? Get oxygen into the blood to transport route the system. See, now it's correcting me. It's saying point of confusion. Talking about what happens inside the cells. Let's break it down with a simple, think of a car. What is a car's main source of power and what does it need to use? Okay, this is pretty good. It's now taking a different concept, a metaphor, and trying to help explain this problem. Let's do this again. We're just gonna test quickly. Just tell me the answer. I don't know. Then we're going to do the same exact thing over here. Let's start over with the Google side. I get you're in a time crunch, want to get straight answers. I promise I can help you get there quickly. My goal is to actually remember this for your test on Friday. Think of it like this. If you just give you the answers, you might know them for a day, but what happens next week? So let's keep it super simple. Okay, this is a little judgy to me, or a little bit in my face. I don't know. It's right, it's correct, but it's a little bit like fighting against me, it feels like. Let's get back to mine. No problem, I can help you with that. Just give the answer. I can't just give the answer directly. We'll get there and you'll feel more confident. Let's go back to our analogy. A car needs fuel, gasoline. The engine uses that fuel and converts it to a usable form. How does that analogy relate to cellular respiration? What do you think the fuel is for a cell? Okay, so I don't know. Again, make your own determination here, but I feel like mine was a little bit less judgmental. So we can keep going back and forth, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. What do you think is actually the better prompt for your learning style? If you come into Google Gemini, you'll see down here we have this book icon. You just turn this on for guided learning and you can have the conversation. And then I have my prompt up in a GitHub, open source. I'll put that link in the description. I also, again, went over it in my ChatGPT video to show you how I actually constructed this thing. And then go try it out. Go create a gem. If we come into here and you do explore gems, when we do new gem, you can just toss the prompt right into here, along with any study materials you wanted to use to help you out. And then just have the conversation. See how it goes, see how it flows. Is it actually helpful to you? Would love your feedback, so definitely drop that in the comments. And yeah, let me know how it goes and how you feel like this compares to ChatGPT or the Claude's version.